30 seconds. Some of them are saying, oh, this will never work. This is a stupid demo. I would have done this. I would have done that. I would have done that. I could hear them whispering. And the better trainers, at about a minute, started to think, like, oh, the criteria is too big. I could almost hear in their heads all the technical jargon.
Trainer speak.
that was explaining this untenable delay. And, I don't know, somewhere around 2 minutes and 15 seconds, the dog said, oh, yeah, I can do that, and executed it perfectly. And I had just waited. She clearly said, I'm working on this. I said, all right. And she was. But the lack of patience. When people say you have to have patience, it's like, no, I really mean patience. Like, truly. Unless she's wandered off and is doing something else. If the dog is looking right at you, sorting, if I asked you something and you're like, I don't know, let me think about that. No, now.
Right.
We will not give dogs the time that, wow, it's just amazing to me. So time, patience, and really listening, because we could actually see whether or not what we're doing is working if we're really listening.
That brings me to my next question, which is, because I talk a lot about listening to your animals as well, what can you tell people to help them understand what listening to your animal is about their posture and their behavior and their gaze? I mean, what a few things can you offer?
I think one thing that would be good to always keep in mind, breathing, is breathe in, breathe out. You know what I mean? I probably couldn't say how many hours I've clocked in marching around arenas with Linda.
Breathing.
Breathe in.
Right.
Breathe out. So an awareness of where you're at in your own head. Are you actually open, literally open? You know, where are you carrying the tension? Because if you lock down your own being, if you've got your jaw locked and your breathing is kind of shallow and you're not blinking, first of all these things in body language say to a dog, something's not right here. That's not, if you think about a dog, if you saw that posture, you'd be somewhat alarmed. An unblinking, tense, shallow breathing dog should always get your attention as something potentially dangerous, if not shut down. So breathing, a sense of no time. I don't know any better way to say it. It's not like I'm calculating, well, that was 15 seconds, that was 16 seconds, and now this dog's never going to do it. I just lay the question in front of the animal, or the thought, or whatever we're working on, the request, and then I just wait.
It's a bit of that phenomenon we see where your 6-year-old can load the horse in the trailer where 3 trainers could not because they have no agenda. They just wait, hold the lead line, look in, and the horse follows them.
Exactly, and that animal time sense it's a very fluid thing. It's definitely about being in the flow. My husband and I once had to break up we didn't break it up. We just called the 2 fighting bulls over to a point in the farm where we could separate them by gates. But when it was all said and done, it was not minutes that was required because we weren't going to go out and interrupt 2 bulls physically. We were going to lose that war. But they heard us, so even though they were fighting, both bulls could hear us calling them. So as they fought, they walked their way 300-plus feet to where we were. But that took literally over an hour and a half, almost 2 hours. We had no idea of it because that was it. That was the request. Like, Jim, do you hear me? Like, Jim, do you hear me? Jim, can you come this way? So it was just quietly repeated, and then he'd have to smack the crap out of his opponent and see Jim. And I'd see him flick his ear over in his eyes, like, I hear you, but I got to beat this guy up. I'm like, can you beat him up and walk over this way? And the answer is yes. Very slowly. It takes quite a bit of time to do that. But we had no sense of the time. We just knew that was what we needed to get accomplished, so we had to find a way to work with those 2 bulls to make it happen. It was only afterwards, when we stepped out of animal time, looked at the clock, that we became aware of human time. So we impose these human limits on ourselves and on our animals. We run 1-hour classes. I don't know why. If I was going to run a training school again, most of my classes would probably be an hour and a half, actually. Last classes I taught with last winter, that's exactly what the classes were. So it was a relaxed pace. It gave people time. But anytime I hear an instructor or a trainer or a handler say, well, I had to, I only had these many minutes, like right there you just blew the relationship because it became about the clock. It didn't become about the animal. So yeah, I think I would pay less attention to the clock. I would pay a lot more attention to the animal, and I'd be really careful that I myself am in a listening posture, and I actually am listening. Some people stand there looking patient, and what they're really waiting for is when to throw the cookie.
That's right. It's that patient, impatient thing. They look like they're waiting, but really they're kind of tapping their toe internally, thinking, when's it going to happen?
Absolutely. Yep. It's like I'm gonna click this, I'm gonna throw that, and I'm gonna give this. Like, hang on a second. And so a much more natural response happens, right? So if you're trying to teach an animal something and there is a good response, then the shift in your own body becomes a giant marker to the animal. It's how they educate each other, right? I do this, you do that. Yes, that's the response I wanted. I do this, you do that. Nah, that's not what I want. And so they're not running over to stuff cookies in each other's mouths. And I use a lot of food because food is a currency, and it makes sense to the animal. But it's not the substitute ever for the genuine whole body response by me of, no, it wasn't quite what I was looking for, or, oh my goodness, that was brilliant. Because that's the very first thing they read. The cookies shouldn't do the work. The cookies should be the icing on the cake.
Well, that's some good advice. It's time to take our first break to hear from our sponsors. We'll be back in a few minutes with more of our show. We'll be right back.
Interested in learning more? Visit physical therapist Sally Morgan's website at sallymorganpt.com, where you will find details about her upcoming speaking engagements, craniosacral therapy, and Tellington TTouch offerings, as well as information about holistic care for animals. Join the mailing list today and be the first to learn about upcoming events and special offers. Sally Morgan is a best-selling author, and her book, Dances of the Heart, Connecting with Animals, details her journey of learning to listen to animals. Her unique set of animal connection cards offers 52 activities to enhance your relationships with the animals in your life, and she suggests that you ask your pet to choose a card each week. Both Sally's book and her cards are available on Amazon and her website, sallymorganpt.com. Join Sally Morgan PT CST Daily on Facebook for conversations with a corgi, and visit YouTube for past episodes as well as Sally's TED Talk. When it comes to our pets' health, you can never be too careful. We invest significant time in ensuring that they have long and happy lives, but it's important to invest the same dedication into our own longevity. The key active ingredient in Dr. Morgan's wellness formula, pure New Zealand deer antler velvet, is now available as a standalone human-grade product. Life Deer Antler Velvet is a whole food supplement rich in calcium and collagen to support healthy joints and strong bones. Our products prioritize purity, ethical harvesting, and quality sourcing above all else. Visit lifepurerecovery.com to learn more and order your first bottle today.
Tune into world-renowned author, speaker, and holistic veterinarian Dr. Judy Morgan, and now radio host of Dr. Judy Morgan's Naturally Healthy Pets on syndicated Dream Vision 7 radio network every Monday and Tuesday, 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Not sure which vaccinations should be given or how often? Not sure which food is best for your individual pet? Find out the answers to your questions in this weekly show where Dr. Judy interviews top experts and showcases the latest products that will help your pets stay naturally healthy.
Does your dog have bad breath? Tired of spending money on expensive dental procedures? Try out Dr. Morgan's Dental Drops today and save money while maintaining your pet's oral health. With New Zealand deer antler velvet as the primary ingredient, Dr. Morgan's Dental Drops are effective for treating stomatitis, gingivitis, and ulcers. You can purchase Dr. Morgan's dental drops directly from Amazon Prime or from her website, www.drjudymorgan.com.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
Hello and welcome back. You're listening to Dr. Judy Morgan's Naturally Healthy Pets on DreamVision7Radio.com. And I'm your host, holistic physical therapist for pets and people, and Dr. Judy Morgan's sister, Sally Morgan. And I'm here with dog expert Suzanne Clothier. And Suzanne, I really am excited about your functional assessment tool that we can use to look at our relationship with our dog and track how he's doing. Can you tell us more about this functional assessment tool you have?
So the functional assessment tool is different from the relationship assessment tool. RAT, which is the relationship assessment tool, is really meant for trainers, therapy dog groups, even rescue group shelters, to look at the dynamics between a handler and a dog. FAT, on the other hand, is really meant to help all of us, whether we're, we just have one dog that keeps us company all day, or we're in charge of, 150 dogs out in the kennel. We're actually interested in how is this individual dog doing. So I tell my students that if we're talking about dogs with an S, that S stands for statistics, and you should never forget that. So when I say dogs, are carnivores. I know some dogs that are vegetarians.
Right.
And dogs do this and dogs do that. That's statistically speaking. But what I'm always interested in is the individual dog, no S. And as someone who has spent their entire life caring for animals, I've done that professionally in many capacities. And, of course, here at the farm, as you listed, our entire zoo that we have, minus rabbits, hold them out. If I look out on the lawn, to be fair, there is a rabbit out there in the snow that I've contemplated adding some carrots to the So that must be psychically what you caught to. So I'm accustomed to caring for animals, and one of the things in caring professionally for animals, if you're any good at it, is you become really tuned into little things. Like when I was managing a barn, I could walk through a barn and it looked like I was just walking down the aisle, but in my head, each time as I looked into each stall, there was a catalog in my head of this is how Ming stands, this is how Ming eats, this is typical for Ming, this is normally his posture, this is how he interacts with people. So any shift was like, why is he standing with his head against the wall? Why is he not here eating? Why? So the littler things are the things that help us as good caretakers, as good husbands of our animals, to really understand how they're doing. So a professional has one sense of that because they have two things. One is the context of a great deal of experience. So if I go out to my barn and I see a horse standing, for example, in a sawhorse stance, if I'm an experienced horse person, I know we have a really significantly serious problem. This horse may be laminitic.
Right.
I'll be calling the vet. To an amateur eye, though, one of my ex-husbands, he came in from giving out night hay, and I had been soaking in a bubble bath, and I said, everybody good in the barn? He's like, yeah, Jeffy wouldn't get up. I was like, what? He goes, no, he was just laying there, up against the wall, and he just wouldn't get up. I put his hay in, I guess he'll eat it later. Rocketing out of the bathtub.
Oh, boy.
Shampoo behind me, because the poor horse was cast. He was stuck up against the wall with his neck back against his barrel.
Oh, boy.
And I'm like, does that look like a way a horse would sleep? Like, you've got to be kidding me. That was a big one. I was like, I don't know. He seemed okay. I was like, oh, my God.
He wasn't moving.
Yeah, exactly. I figured he was just comfy. It's like, yeah, there's no such thing as a horse that, yeah, no. Mm-mm. So what FAT does is it looks at the dog. We're doing it for dogs now. We will eventually do it for other species as well. It looks at the dog across 15 aspects. So we have the physiological aspects, we have the cognitive aspects, and we have social. Because how well an animal's functioning tells us what we need to do to help him. So if he's highly functional and his life is not interrupting the daily normal functions of life, then we don't have to worry too much. If I've got my horses, they're out there, they're eating, they're pooping, they're drinking, they're eating, they're bright-eyed, they're cheerful,